Yep.
I'll read this long blurb. Are you ready?
All set.
Okay. Good evening. It is November 19th, 2020. This is calling the Needham Conservation Commission public hearing, 7:30 p.m. As a preliminary matter, my name is Janet Bernardo. I am the Conservation Commission Chair. Permit me to confirm that all members of the commission are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peter.
Here.
Artie.
Here.
Allison.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Thanks. Okay, staff, when I call your name, please respond. Debbie.
Here.
Clay.
Here.
So for the speakers, I have a list of speakers. When we get to that file number or project number name, we will call the speakers at that time. Good evening. This open meeting of the Town of Needham Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a public accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Needham Conservation Commission is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. The general public is allowed and encouraged to ask questions during the meeting when directed by the commission chair and through use of the raise hand feature associated with the Zoom meeting app. Those that have questions or comments regarding a particular hearing will be called upon in that order, so raise their hand. In the order they raise their hand, so please be patient. All supporting materials have been provided to members of this body and are available on the Conservation Commission website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting notes. The chair will introduce each hearing on the agenda. I will introduce the applicant and or their consultant to begin their project presentation. After they conclude their presentation, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment or questions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you, and please state your name before speaking. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call votes. All right, we did that. Now, we are going to take up 54 Pheasant Landing Road. Is a continued public hearing, notice of intent for a DP file number that does not have a file number, we understand. Is there anybody here for 454 Pheasant Landing Road? Are they not? I don't have anybody on the list, right?
It looks like nobody's here for that one.
Oh, there's 3 people that could be here. Well, Bruce
No,
Greenwald
I
is on
don't
this.
think that they were going to come because they knew that it was just going to be continued.
Okay, so I'm gonna cross these people off my list. So we need a motion to continue the public hearing for 54 Pheasant Landing Road till December 3rd. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
So moved. So
So
moved.
moved by Artie. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Steve. Thank you. All in favor, one by one. Artie,
Aye.
Allison,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
who is not here. Is that true?
Sue wasn't here, I believe.
All right. And me, aye. So continue till December 3rd. Thank you very much. Done. Okay, now we will move on to 10 Winfield Street, DP file number 234852. This is a continued notice of intent. Let's see, 10 Winfield Street. Do we have Bob Roach here?
I'm
Or,
here.
okay, Bob, thank you. And is Diane here? She's supposed to be here? Do we want to take this up, Bob? Do you want to take this up without Diane here?
I believe so. She said she would be on.
Yeah, she did let us know that she wasn't going to be, that she wasn't going to, that she wanted to be on in the beginning. So I don't know, maybe pick something else first.
Well, is there anything to talk about though? Or isn't the idea that we needed to close this because it now has a file number?
Yeah, I think this one's prepared to close. They did submit a revised plan with a very small revision that I can pull up if anybody would like to
Can we
see.
just shut the door?
Yeah, please do that. Then we can just move this along.
So what was revised from the last iteration was simply that the addition here was kind of bumped out. It kind of came only 3/4 of the way to the edge of the deck, and they made it flush with the deck, and they brought a little wrap around to up the stairs to the deck to the side. Aside from that, the same plantings, the same stormwater units, the same footprint. Aside from that change is all the same.
Thanks. I'm just noticing, one thing that we try to not have happen is for proposed grading to sheet onto an abutting property. So can we include, and the commissioners can talk about this, but a condition of approval saying that the proposed grades, particularly on the north side, will not sheet flow onto the abutting property? Like it's
Yeah.
showing right now that it kind of does, but I think there's enough room that they can fix that.
All right, so we can have them submit a revised plan before we issue the order to them, and I can send it to you to review.
Okay, Bob, does that make sense to you?
Yes, I don't really see that it's shedding onto my neighbor's property because that's the property line on the north side is more or less a swale, but there's a fence there going down towards the brook. It all sheds to the brook. So I guess my question is this going to prohibit me from getting my demolition permit?
No, I don't think so. And I think because I just can't tell from the plan what's happening on the neighbor's side, I think we can just actually have it as a condition, and maybe an as-built will be needed to show that those contours are not, that it's not sheet flowing onto the neighbor's property.
All right, the contours are there right now.
Well, right now, but this proposed plan that's on the screen looks like it's just gonna sheet flow onto the neighbor's property, the 200 that's there. You see the screen?
Yeah.
So it's kind of flat, but it looks like the 200 contour is just gonna allow water to go onto your neighbor. So I just wanna make sure that it doesn't.
I am an excavator. I'm pretty familiar with grading and contours, so.
Yep. So that makes sense to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we could make that swale away a little bit more. Can we ensure that my neighbor's property is not draining onto mine?
Well, your neighbor's property is not the one that's here in front of us, so we can only talk to you. You can make your swale so that it drains down the middle on the property line, so that's fine.
I just heard from Diane that she's in the meeting. but we
Oh.
can't hear her or something. Is there something going on? Clay, can you see her here?
Um,
I don't see her.
not unless she's joined as an attendee.
I don't see her in participants.
I do see a Maya Simonelli.
She's under she's under Maya Simonelli.
Yep, I'm
She
promoting.
said. Okay.
Does he just have to like invite her in or something?
Yeah, I promoted her from attendee. The list is very long. Diane, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
There we go. Can
There's
you
a
hear
lot
me?
of,
There we go. Thanks for letting me in.
Mm-hmm.
so Diane, we're looking at can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see, yeah, I heard the contour. I see you said 200 or 199 there.
Yeah, and so I don't think it's difficult for you to make sure that that doesn't drain onto the neighbor's property. I just want to make sure that it doesn't.
Yeah, that highlighted or hatched area there is all vegetated, and we're not even touching that area. So it will drain into that area. So that's going to stay unchanged, that hatched area in the back right corner.
Okay, but it's the house and the proposed
Oh,
grade.
the house. I thought you meant further down. Oh, the 200.
No, the 200 contour of the house, near the house, so that
Right.
that should drain towards the brook and not towards your neighbor, which I think you have plenty of room to make that happen.
Yeah,
It's just
we
not
could-
shown that way.
Exactly. We could, yeah, we can flatten that out a little bit.
So we're gonna ask for an as-built to be provided that will show these contours after it's constructed.
That's
In order of conditions, okay? So that's a little bit, it's, the surveyor will have to go out and get the contours.
absolutely.
And Diane, just make sure you weren't here when I believe it was the homeowners mentioned that. Sounded like there was already a swale of some kind, perhaps on the neighbor's side of this line, maybe, and he was just gonna do something to kind of, I don't know, extend it, but kind of contour a swale down to the brook area.
Well, if you look at the plan close, you'll see that there is a swale there.
Do you see this?
Look at the plan closely and you will see it.
What's this thing on the screen now, Clay?
Yeah.
Clay, do you see that what's on the screen?
Right under the 130.79 mark, that is a swale. You will see that.
Or is it?
See how the contour changes?
Yep.
And it does follow down through to the lot to the 198 as well.
And then 198 is also a swale.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right now, you've taken this 199 and you've taken the swale away. I don't want to spend much time on this, but you've gotten rid of the swale with this grading.
Yeah, we can adjust it. So it,
Yeah, you want it to be able to go like this and not drain, so you need it to drain that way.
yeah,
You can make it happen,
All
Yep.
drained.
but it's not showing that way here. So we're gonna want to make sure that an as-built plan comes back with this. So any commission members have anything to, any comments or questions? Artie,
No,
Allison,
I just second what you said, Janet.
Bill,
No further comment.
Peter,
nothing to add.
Stephen,
No comment.
Sue's still not here? Okay, anybody in the audience have anything to add, ask, any comments, questions?
There are no hands raised.
Diane, anything else? Or
No,
Mr. Roach, anything else?
No, I'm all set.
So we have everything we need and we're ready to close this hearing?
Yes.
Looking for a motion?
Motion to close the hearing.
Artie, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, all in favor. Artie,
Aye.
Allison,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Peter, did you go? Oh, Peter, you moved. Okay, Peter.
Aye.
I'm Janet, aye. Thank you. So we'll be able to issue that order, we'll write it all up tonight, right? And then it'll go in the garage and then we'll eventually get it signed.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Diane, do you have anything else here tonight? I know you need to get out early.
I don't think so. I think this is it.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. Clay or Deb, if you don't have anything specific, I'm gonna just start going down the list.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's
56
good.
Blacksmith Drive, DP file number 234850. On our list, we have Kyle McDonald.
Here.
Yep. Robert Olet,
Here.
Michael Signexwith, sorry. Is Michael here?
I don't think so.
Jake?
Here.
Pauline? Okay, great. Okay, so who's gonna present to us?
That'll be me. I can
Great.
share my screen, right?
Yep.
Let's see. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
See it.
All right, so this is a continued hearing from the last meeting last month. So the only change that we have is the relocation of the rain garden kind of swale now. So originally we had two shown there, and then through discussion with you guys during the last meeting, we decided that probably something closer to the stream and kind of going across the entire width of the property would be a better, solution to capture the runoff from the proposed addition to the single family house here. So that's what we have for you guys here. We went and offset 5 feet from the stream, and then we're gonna put a about 6-inch tall berm running across the entire length of the property there, and then curved up on the edges in order to create an area that'll actually hold water rather than letting it just run off the side onto the neighbor's property.
Thank you.
So the idea here is we'll excavate down in here just a little bit, just so we can bring in some nice organic soil, so it'll function as a good rain garden where the plants will have nice soil to live in rather than just what exists there currently. I had a planting plan and a construction plan that I put together. If you guys had the chance to look that over, I won't go into too much detail about how we're going to do it. A couple of other things I wanted to note. We talked about putting an emergency kind of spillway in there. So we have that here lined with river rock, just so there's a nice area where the rain garden or swale can kind of overflow during really large storm events. So what we're doing there is just putting like a 2-inch depression in the berm and then lining the area and making a little apron with the river rock.
How wide is that?
It's not listed. I'd have to measure it out. Eyeballing it looks like, I don't know, couple of feet, 2-4 feet. Just enough to have an area where it will spill over. And then, so all the calculations we did to make sure that this would hold enough water was based off of it just being a 4-inch ponding height, because if we have the 6-inch berm with the 2-inch depression, really, it's going to start overflowing when it ponds to about 4 inches. So just to run through the numbers for you guys, the addition is going to give us 360 square feet of new impervious area, which with the 1-inch rain event, which is what we're required to infiltrate from the bylaw, would produce about 30 cubic feet of runoff. And then the swale rain garden, whatever you want to call it, is about 290 square feet. So with the 4-inch ponding depth, gives you 96 cubic feet of storage, just to show you that it does meet the requirement of how much we need to be able to capture and infiltrate based on the bylaw.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I guess at this point, it's just if you guys have any additional questions.
Commission members, Artie,
I'm good.
Bill,
No further questions.
Peter?
Nope.
Allison,
Yeah.
Stephen?
No comment.
So my only question is, And maybe this is for Deb. Do they need to request, because they're working within the 25-foot no disturb zone, do they need to do something about that?
A waiver request
Yeah, that's the word.
for
Yeah.
the rain garden.
Yeah.
I think they should probably provide us with one. Yes.
I know it's plantings, it's really plantings, so is that
So
considered an
it's a little
exempt?
bit more than plantings, which is why I'm saying it.
Okay,
But we have that as part of a discussion later on tonight. But since it's more than just plantings, I would say we need a waiver request.
okay, but typically, because it is more like a planting kind of a thing, we would grant the waiver because it's an exempt activity sorta, and we recommended it, so.
And we'll probably waive the fee as well. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
we usually waive the fee when there's plantings involved, and that's the purpose of it. Does the homeowner understand what this is and what their, kind of long-term O&M is on it? Are they here?
I'm here.
I think they were. So did it, you get some explanation about this rain garden swale and feature and what your responsibilities are as far as maintaining it for long-term future use?
Yes, certainly take care, weed, make sure it's intact, but yes. And we're on board with that.
And that you're not gonna fill it in.
No, and we won't mow it.
Yeah, it can be a beautiful garden feature for you, but keep it as a depression so it will continue to hold water for many years to come, and it'll have nice flowers in it as well. It's a twofer, but
Sounds
just don't
good.
raise it up. We need to keep the
Sounds good.
4 inches that they're giving you.
Okay, that's understood.
Great. Are we doing anything as far as, Deb, again, the operation and maintenance for these kind of things? Are we asking for something when a certificate of compliance is issued, we're gonna have them sign the operation and maintenance plan or something? We talked about it at one point.
Yeah, we have been putting that on our orders.
Yeah, just
Recently.
so, because it doesn't do any good for if it's a builder or the engineer to put it together, but when the certificate of compliance is being requested, that's usually now the person's, living there. Hopefully.
Right. I know Clay drafted this, but we have been adding it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and in this case, we did receive a draft or O&M. And my only comment on that is just providing if Kyle Goddard could put somewhere just on there a place for the homeowners to sign, just so they know that the operation and maintenance, that they acknowledge that it requires, just general ongoing maintenance.
Great, and so we will look for something signed when you request a certificate of compliance, so that it's all on the books as something that you understand is happening. By then, you will have probably had it for a season, so. All right, do we have any more questions from the board or the audience? You see anybody in the audience, Clay?
There are no raised hands.
Any commission members have anything else to add? We have everything we need to close this hearing. Motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Artie, motion to close the hearing, 56 Blacksmith Drive, DP file number 2348850. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, all in favor? Artie.
Aye.
Allison.
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Shifting places on me. Okay, Janet, aye. So this hearing is closed and we will be discussing the order of conditions later on this evening. Okay, thank you very much. We're moving on to 182 and 190 Edgewater Drive, DP file number 234853. This is a continued notice of intent. Edgewater Drive, there's a number of people that might be here. David and Stacy Necto.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. Wes is here.
Yes, I'm here.
I saw him earlier. Michael Crow. Saw him last
He's
time.
attending the ZBA hearing. We are doing 2 meetings at the same time, so we've got the other computer going.
Okay, I see his name here. Artie, you're here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are all here. Great. So who's gonna do a presentation?
I can start real quick and then Kyle can go on. Is that how you want to do it, Kyle?
Well, I think most of what they requested was just plan stuff and then the planting plan. So I'm
Go ahead.
thinking maybe you and then it is Wes on, right? Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Yes,
here.
Wes is here. I will start with a quick thing on my end, just so that everyone is on the same page, if you guys don't mind. We did the site visit together and let me share screen. So we did the site visit on our last meeting. One of the concerns that the board members had was that this tree, number 12 over here, was not marked to be cut. And because it was near the floodplain, it was requested that we identify that as the tree to be cut. What we did in additional to that is that we are showing all the trees that are impacted within 70 feet of the proposed pool area. One additional change that we have done to the plan would be that we have proposed a drainage field to infiltrate, the size of which will take half of the tennis court, including the 100-year storm event. And we have provided the report showing that before and after on every storm event, 2-year, 10-year, 100-year, including the rate and volume, we are reducing the size. And when it comes down to the compensation, we are providing 7 times more compensation than what it is we are filling. We are still keeping the native planting swale or planting area on both sides. It was felt that the swale would be too deep to keep on the ground. That's why we ended up introducing the drainage field with a trench drain to pick up the water and infiltrate it. Other than that, everything that the commission had requested, we believe that we have complied with. Wes can go more into the details as far as the what we are proposing for planting. Complete.
One quick question. I thought that the groundwater was really high. Do you have enough separation for that infiltration system?
We believe so. We can certainly do that. We haven't done testing on the site, but we can, if needs be, we can even put it under the tennis courts if that's the case.
It's that much higher? The tennis court is that much higher?
It's not much high. I can show you. Hold on a second. So the tennis court, we're going to have it elevation 94. And the ground over here, it's elevation 93. So this would be 1 foot higher. We did this to provide for compensation, but if needs be, we can certainly raise the tennis court a little bit more if needed. We don't foresee that to be an issue, but until we dig the holes and we can go with smaller units if needs be, depending on what we find for groundwater.
Have you done any testing out there?
Testing was not done because we were going with the trench. So originally, if you remember when we were proposing, we had a trench drain in here, but it was felt that because we cannot plant significant trees inside that trench drain that was going to be 2 feet deep, and 10 feet wide in order to accommodate the additional impervious surface. So the decision was made, rather than keep that as a trench, let's put infiltrators. We have not done testing as far as digging the hole. David has not purchased this property yet. Our expectation was when they move forward with the demolition for the house, the reason why we're doing both meetings tonight with Conservation Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals is because hopefully we get the okay from you guys so that they can move forward and purchase the property. Once David owns the property, we certainly will go there and dig the holes.
Why are you in front of zoning board?
We are
In
in front
about
of
20 minutes.
Or why?
Because even though we are doing work inside the floodplain, and for doing work inside the floodplain, it is an allowed activity for putting the swimming pool, but you still require approval from Zoning Board of Appeals for doing it.
Bill, you have any comments?
We had the approval before, if you remember, a couple of years back. We had the approvals for putting it in here, but that approval from Zoning Board of Appeals has expired. So now we don't expect any problems, but we have to get a new one because now the time period has lapsed.
Thanks. Bill, you have anything to add to that? Bill?
No, only that the structures could significantly change with the results of the groundwater. So you'd be highly variable stormwater systems based on those results.
Yes, and on our conversation with the owner, he understands that the implications of getting the approvals, if needs be that we're going to make any radical changes, we will be coming back to the commissions for approvals if needs be.
Okay, that's fine. No other comment.
Artie, you have anything to add, ask? Comments?
Well, I'm waiting to hear what's happening with the plantings and specifically along the tennis court.
Do you guys have some, the applicant, Wes?
We
Yes,
do. Wes.
Wes will take it from there.
I'll share my screen now. Can you see anything? Can you see what I'm sharing?
Not yet.
Not yet, Wes. Share.
Now we can,
Good.
all right, almost.
Okay, so
There you go.
this is a plan taken from, let me reduce it a little bit. It's overlaid on Artie's drawing, survey drawing, which shows the trees that are cutting and the 70-foot radius that we talked about before, centered around the cabana here. And in this particular area, there are the list of trees that we're cutting. There are 11 trees in that particular zone, plus 12, this one that's outside of there. And there are about 35 additional trees, which I've noted with the black tree ring, that are being conserved. So that sort of answers the question as to the quantity of trees in that area for the Artie on the commission.
It doesn't answer what we agreed to. I thought we agreed to when we had the site visit, and that's trees being planted near between the tennis, essentially between the tennis court and the river.
Okay, I'm getting to that. So this was just the analysis of that, of the trees that exist within that space.
Okay.
So now to actually, sorry, I have a whole lot of plans on here. That's not it. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this is the proposed planting plan and detailed plant list. And what we're planning on doing is planting large trees right here, 3 to 4 inch caliper. You can see them up here. Where are they? Quercus bicolor, which is swamp white oak. 6 swamp white oaks right here in the adjacent to the planting, and they would be 3 to 4 inch caliper trees, as shown in the plant list that 3.5 to 4 inch caliber trees. And then all the other trees, and then there are additionally 21 Thuya picata cedars along the street, and then all the other trees noted here, which are detailed in the planting plan. 30 native canopy trees, most of which are dispersed among the woodland. As listed here, those would be smaller 4 to 5 foot sapling trees, 24 understory trees, which are noted in the red and from the species list and the quantities and sizes. Also 3 to 4 foot juvenile trees, pawpaw, hornbeam, redbud, pagoda dogwood, American dogwood, sweet bay magnolia, and sourwood. And then 125 native shrubs also from the list here. Small pots, 2-gallon pots, or as available.
Wes, I'd like to ask you to kind of talk about all the trees being planted, then go back to the area where they're being planted and stay there as opposed to bouncing back and forth between where they are and the list itself, bouncing back and forth. I mean, thing is, it's easy for you because you already know what's going on. For us viewing it, it's more difficult to digest it.
Okay, so
stay in one section, then go to the other section.
I'm sorry.
Well, we can't really read that little bit anyway, so you're probably better off just being on the trees, on the
right.
plants,
So,
the circles,
here,
the red dots and stuff.
yeah, so here's what I'll do is I'll say, I'll give you the list of, because it's a very diverse plant list. So the overstory canopy trees that we're proposing consist of 5 paper birch, 5 silver bells, 3 juniperus virginiana, a red cedar, 5 Nyssa sylvatica, 3 American sycamore, the 6 swamp white oaks, which are the very large trees planted in the lawn there, 3 sassafras, and 21 Thuya picata. The Thuya plicata are here. Those are screen trees. Those are also a large 10 footers. These are the swamp white oaks, which are 3.5 to 4 inch caliper. So they'll be about 12 to 14 feet tall. All the other trees are notated in these dots, green in the green circles everywhere throughout the existing woodland zone, starting here, coming around here, and then circling through the entire buffer zone area. And they will be planted in pockets, as noted on the plan here, that are suitable to the condition of that particular tree. And these are all native trees that I know will grow well in that condition.
And did you mention that there was some invasives that were being removed during this same time period?
Absolutely. This whole area, actually everything that's rendered in yellow on this plan, is quite inundated with a number of invasive species. And all of this planting would follow a removal of invasive species and treatment as outlined in the invasive species management plan that we submitted. So the intent is to remove and manage the invasive species over a extended period of time, and to replace and enhance the native environment with these proposed trees that I can go through if you want to hear more.
Nope, stay right there. Stay right there.
Okay.
And the big circles, the biggest circle, light greens, are those existing or proposed?
Those are existing large canopy trees. You can zoom out 1 notch here if you want to see a little better.
Allison, did you have a chance to look at the plant list? I don't see her now.
Where's
She
Allison?
might be on mute. And Artie, you're,
Allison, you're on mute if you're trying to talk.
Wes knows his plants. It's a very beautiful plant list.
Thank you.
Like
Hey,
your father.
Russ, question about the white oak, was it swamp white oak? Is that used? Question about those, as far as the spacing apart. What is the spacing apart, and is that the one is that most appropriate for that species, or is that being spaced like that because of the tennis court? I don't know if they're kind of two different.
Yeah, actually, the tennis court's about 100 feet, so 6 over 100. I mean, they actually turn into very large trees, so they're a little closer than they would be if they were going to be specimen, but they'll grow together, and you know, it'll be great.
And how far away are they actually from the tennis court?
Oh, say about 6 to 8 feet, something like that.
Is that far enough away from the tennis court?
Yeah. I mean, the intent was to provide shade to the tennis court, so you didn't want to be too far.
You can have trees close to a tennis court. They just blow the leaves off when the leaves fall on it. It's okay. It's not like a swimming pool.
you don't worry about the roots or anything?
No.
No, not for swamp white oaks, no.
No.
Okay. Steve, do you have any comments or questions?
No comment.
Peter?
No.
Allison, anything more?
It just might be hard to find some of these whips. You know, most of the sizes that you have are like bare root. Good luck.
Right. Well, that's why I put as available. I don't disagree. So we'll find something that is suitable, you know, in that size range or larger.
Because if they're bare root, you have to plant them like in April.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to plant them like what?
In
Early.
April.
Yeah.
Really
In
early,
April.
just as soon as you can work the soil, because the root,
Right.
they don't have any roots. They're just bare root. They have no soil around them. They come all wrapped up and cold.
Right. It's like we call it liner stock in the industry.
in the
So it's
trade,
kind of what a nurseryman would buy and set out in their field. But so you buy bundles of trees, bare root, and they grow very vigorously when you put
But
them
you
in.
have a very short window to plant it.
Yeah.
Bill, do you have anything more to add?
No, I do not. Thanks.
Artie, are you okay?
I'm good.
You were concerned. And Sue still is not here, is that true?
Sue actually was able to join us.
I am here. I am
Oh,
here.
there you are. Sue, you did the site visit. Do you have any questions or comments regarding this plan?
I don't.
Now, my one concern is do think that you have plenty of locations that you could install this subsurface infiltration system. And I like the idea of a subsurface infiltration system. I think that that's a good way to manage your stormwater for this site. We have recently started requiring people to have that test pit done before you come to us. So I'm struggling with that. We've had a number of applicants that gave us too hard of a time. Kind of like those people that were complaining at Valenti. So now nobody can get a custom made sandwich. We all have to have made to order.
What the only, if I may say something, Janet, the reason in this particular case, we don't own the property yet, and we are showing willingness that we will come back to you guys if something it's not kosher. If any revisions we're going to do to the drainage, we'll certainly come back to you. The only reason why we are asking for approval tonight is because we are already online with the Zoning Board of Appeals. If it is that we don't get your approvals tonight, we are not going to be able to close. So it's X22. I think this site and the effort that we have put into with a willingness to come back and present to you whatever findings we get when we do the testing, I think that you should make an exception in our case, that's all.
Well, if we do, I want the commissioners to kind of come up with how they feel about that. I think that we would need to require that the testing is done and provided to us before the tennis court goes up. So I think that would be easy enough to do, but so before you put in that tennis court, you have come back to us with the soil testing and exactly what that infiltration system will look like.
Thank you.
Janet, you have my assurance that'll be done.
So what do the other commissioners feel about that? You know, we're trying to really encourage people to do this testing beforehand. Some sites, there's not enough space to have a lot of flexibility. This property does have a lot of flexibility. So I'm personally okay with it, but it is something that we've just changed the rules on recently. Anybody have an opinion? I guess I should go down the line. Allison, you have an opinion on if it's okay to do it now or later?
I agree with what you want. I mean, I think it should be tested before they do it.
But can we condition having it tested and having them come back before the tennis court?
Yes.
You really don't want to rip up that tennis court because you didn't tell us what the soil was like underneath it. Arnie?
Well, certainly agreed. I mean, to be honest, I'm not, I certainly didn't know. I'm not sure if the commission knew, but I certainly didn't know that you did not own the other property at this point. I thought it was actually already owned. And so, yeah, so we're not going to know some of this information until you actually own it. So I think it's quite appropriate that we know this information before.
With that, is the homeowner's signature on the notice of intent? The person that actually owns it?
Yes, it is.
Bill, you have any opinion about the soil testing?
No, only the risk is a significant risk with the buyer. I think, my experience with soil testing is oftentimes you never know what you're going to find. And, you could be surprised with an outcropping of ledge. You could be surprised with a buried hole. So there's a significant risk and it could significantly affect the costs of the project, but that's their risk. So,
Bill, if I may ask, we did run the drainage calculations for the drainage ditch. So we know for a fact that we can do the drainage ditch. That's no question about it. So if anything, we can always go back to the drainage ditch, and the cosmetics might not be as nice as they would have it without that, but we know for a fact that we can get that volume. So even if we encounter water at 1 foot from the surface or 2 feet from the surface, and we cannot put the drainage field, we can go back to the first rendition as far as putting a drainage ditch, and that would hold the volume of water required.
Well, would that mean that we would have to have two plans?
No, what's happening is
how can you condition that?
No, what we are asking is for approval of this plan. Once we get this approval from you, then we can get the approval from Zoning Board of Appeals for the swimming pool. If it is that we fail or for some reason we decide not to do the drainage field, we are required to come back to you and amend the order of conditions to give us the approval for whatever it is for the trench drain that we're going to be putting in. So I'm trying to give peace of mind that if it is there is ledge on the ground, let's say we dig 2 feet and we find ledge, or we dig 2 feet and we find water. Well, yes, we cannot put a drain, but we can go back and put a trench drain that will do the trick because we have run the numbers, we have done the calculations. That's what we presented to you guys on the first plan. The reason why we changed it now is because of how it would look on the ground. It was felt that having a 2 foot trench going all around was not going to be as appealing because we couldn't plant trees inside the trench.
okay, I'm fine. All set.
Thank you.
Peter, you have any comment or question?
No, I think it can be conditioned.
Stephen?
Comment.
Sue?
I agree.
Okay, So do we have all the information we need? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak or ask questions? Anybody, Clay?
There are no hands.
So if we are ready to close this with, my recommendation would be that there's a condition that says that the tennis court will not be installed until you return to us with exactly what the stormwater infiltration or management will be. And you really don't want to rip up that tennis court, so please make sure that you do that.
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. It's on record. I
I can make a motion with that condition in hand.
Okay, great.
182 190 Edgewater Drive, DEP file number 234-853.
Second?
Okay.
That's Steve. Okay, all in favor, Allison,
Aye.
Artie,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
and I. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Good night. Good luck with ZBA.
Thanks, Janet.
Okay, we're moving on to 74 and 80 Robinwood Avenue, DEP file number 234854. This is a notice of intent. This is a new notice of intent that Clay and I had gone out and met the homeowners and kind of talked about some of their options that they had for their properties. Is like 3 properties together that have some drainage issues. So oh wait, hold on. I have a list. This is Robinwood. Okay, Sharad? Am I
Yes,
saying that correctly?
you are. Thank you.
Robert,
Aye.
Rich Kirby,
Present.
Brian Tim.
Here.
Okay, so you guys you're the 4 that are all here on my list. And who's going to do a presentation?
I'll start off the presentation as the civil engineer and land surveyor, and I'll have Richard Kirby from LEC Environmental participate as well. Clay, I don't know if you want to bring up everything, or I can share my screen, whatever's easiest.
Sure, you just want me to run the PowerPoint?
Sure, if it works. Okay, good evening, everybody. I appreciate your time tonight, this evening. So again, just to quickly refresh, to go through introduce the project. This project is a application for 2 property owners, 74 and 80 Robinwood Ave. 74, you're actually looking at it on, this is a street view image. On the left, that's 74, and that's owned by Sharad Shah and his wife, Stephanie Schulte. On the right is 80 Robinwood Avenue, and that's owned by Robert and Sandra Pettit. I am Brian Tim from RJ O'Connell Associates. We're civil engineers and land surveyors. And Richard Kirby is the environmental consultant from LEC Environmental, who is handling a lot of the delineation of the wetlands and regulations. So to give you a quick overview of where we are and the site is located, it's in the, it's off of High Rock Road, where High Rock Road crosses over, I believe it's the MBTA rail line. You can see the MBTA rail line on the bottom right of this image. Robinwood Avenue intersects up at High Rock Road. It's a dead end road that ends down near the Needham Town Forest. And as you're moving down the roadway, it pitches down towards the Needham Town Forest. And the properties that we're dealing with are on the last 3 or 4 properties on your left before you become into the town forest. So if we'll zoom in on the next picture, kind of get a little bit closer aerial view. So now as we're looking at this project here, I zoomed up on what 74 Robinwood Avenue is identified in the middle here of the screen, above and to the left of the blue lines that I'm showing, which I'll kind of talk to you really quickly afterwards. To to the bottom of that, directly to the south, is 80 Robinwood Avenue. And to give you a quick overview, I mean, I like to show the aerial overviews because it's a little bit easier to understand than plans. Even as an engineer, I like to see aerial images. So what I tried to do with this image here is to kind of show you what we're proposing to do with the project. Right now, we're actually, so if we're standing in Robinwood Avenue, looking at the sites, to the back left of 74 Robinson Avenue, the homeowners, Shirag and Stephanie, have experienced a wetland that it carries a lot of water in where I'm pointing to PDB-1. Their backyard is a grass backyard. They purchased this property, I would guess, and Shirag, you can correct me if I'm wrong, more than 10 years ago. They bought it as is, it is today. And they've noticed over the years the water ponding over on that side a little bit more than normal. And we'll zoom up on that in a little bit on a couple pictures. Shows there's actually a drain basin that's there right now that mitigates some of, or transports some of this water, pumps it up into the municipal drainage system, which is located up in Robinwood Avenue, which I've tried to represent with the white line, existing drainage line. I inserted some drainage arrows to show the direction of flow in that municipal drain line. In addition, Rob Pettit and his family are also experiencing some water that ponds in that side of the property, very damp. And we're also going to propose, there's a drain basin over there right now. I'd like to add a second drain basin. It's necessary to turn proposed piping as well. There is an isolated wetland that I'm kind of let Rich talk a little bit about from LEC. Between the two properties, I believe it's an isolated wetland. The wetland to the north of 74 Robinwood Avenue is a bordering vegetated wetland. Not going to pretend to know all the specifics about that. Rich can fill everybody in on that. Why don't we go to the next slide, I think, or we go back to the other one. Rich, if you'd like to just talk a little bit about the wetlands.
Sure. Actually, the next slide would be good for me.
Okay.
So if we can zoom in a little bit there, that'd be helpful. There we go. So to the north of 74 Robinwood Avenue, you can see there's a lawn edge with a scalloped tree line, and basically there's a bordering vegetated wetland to the north of that lawn edge. It's behind the property next door, more or less. And we call it a bordering vegetated wetland, even though it's really limited to the land behind the property next door. It connects to that to a drain manhole, which eventually discharges the surface water from the wetlands to the stormwater infrastructure associated with Robinwood Avenue, which eventually discharges to another wetland somewhere. So, you know, a conservative interpretation of that is that it's a bordering vegetated wetland. Between the two properties, between the two houses, just behind the houses there is an isolated vegetated wetland. Brian, are the wetlands on this plan or no?
You know, as I look at this plan, the wetlands weren't delineated at the time that I put this plan together. On the couple plans where we show the proposed work, I have colored them in. So I think Clayton can probably show roughly where they are.
Yeah, or we could do a sneak peek of what the next plan looks like, and I can show you where the wetland.
It's about 3 plans ahead.
Okay.
Voila.
Right there. Okay, so the green area is, there you go. The green area represents the offsite wetlands to the north, behind the property next door to 74, and then the lower or bottom green area is an isolated vegetated wetland that just sort of circles on itself.
Can I just ask you a quick question? Sorry to interrupt your train of thought, but so you said the top one is a bordering vegetated wetland because it goes into the manhole catch basin, right? That's the connection?
It's a conservative interpretation. It's sort of a worst case scenario. You could make an argument that it's isolated simply because it goes into the manhole, but the manhole has to be, the water has to be pumped, which Brian's going to get to in a minute. But basically the surface water that falls into the manhole has to be pumped up to eventually discharge to the stormwater infrastructure in Robinwood Avenue, which presumably discharges to a wetland somewhere downstream.
Oh, wait, so now that's what's happening now. But
Right.
wait, right now it just sits there. It's
No.
not.
No, there's a, give us a minute. Well, I'm
Because
getting.
I guess I'm confused why one of them is why you're claiming, kind of saying conservatively, one is a BVW and one is isolated, because it seems like they both are sitting next to catch basins that go to the same place.
The bordering one is inclusive of the catch basin. The isolated one to the south is offset from the catch basin.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Brian, I'm going to turn it back over to you before I get myself in any more trouble.
So you're saying you're going to let me get myself in trouble?
I have a quick question. So any chance that that's a vernal pool?
No, very unlikely. We didn't see any vernal pool characteristics there. There's a little bit of water staining right by the catch basin within the wetland to the north, but nothing that, really no, stained leaves or any evidence of prolonged standing water that would support vernal pool activity, in my opinion.
Okay, thanks.
So Clayton, can we go back to a couple pages? And I think I'll be able to clear up a little bit of what's happening here. So one page prior, I don't know where I was.
You were there.
Okay, yep. So I essentially, Rich talked to you exactly about where these wetlands are located. If you go to the next screen, please. So I took a couple pictures. I don't know if the whole commission has been able to go out there and take a visual of what they're looking at here. So these first few pictures are going to be of the property on the north. The first picture on the left here is along the left property line, the northern property line. You see the building of 74 Robinwood Avenue on your right. We're standing in the driveway looking towards the backyard. At the end of the white vinyl fence is essentially where the bordering vegetated wetland is located. On the right, I'm actually in the backyard of 74. The house is to my left, and I'm looking into the neighbor on the north, looking into what's the bordering vegetated wetland. If we go to the next page here, in that bordering vegetated wetland, you can see here now is a close-up. The grass is on the right, and you see that little rock-like structure, and then there's a electrical outlet sitting right next to it as well that's mounted on a 2x4 basically. So that is if you take that rock off, if you will, it's a faux rock. Underneath that is a grate. Water will actually flow into that wetland when the wetland tends to pond up. It spills into that into the catch basin, if you will. And the owner, Shirag Shah, has a duplex pump system in there that he has to change. My understanding is very frequently the pumps burn out. They're constantly on here. They are pumping water into a pipe that goes up towards to the best of our ability, towards the garage as a force main. And then right about somewhere at the garage, our belief is it turns into a gravity feed, because then I can actually see it. I was out there watching this happen. It actually drains into the catch basin in Robinwood Avenue in front of the property. And when I was out there, I want to say end of spring, early summer, it went off several times. So what we're going to be proposing here is, he has an electrical system here that's constantly running electricity and pumping, and he's constantly having to replace it. So I was actually able to do a detailed survey, and believe it or not, it doesn't make any sense when you look at it from your eye. We can actually make a gravity-based system function at a minimal pitch. So that's essentially what we're proposing here, is putting in a secondary drainage system, catch basin, if you will, not really a catch basin, more of a drain basin, in outside the wetlands, roughly at the same elevation here, that will work via gravity, not rely on power, not rely on things like that nature, and it'll work by gravity. We go to the next picture, and we can always go back to these if other people have questions. On the left, that's standing kind of with my back to the woods, looking at 74 Robinwood Avenue. And that's their yard that they're currently using there. And again, you see on the left is where 80 Robinwood Avenue is. You see another one of these little faux rocks. And I zoomed up on it a little bit on the right. So that's another catch basin that's installed right now. Right to the left of that, you can kind of see the dirt barren area. I believe that's the isolated vegetated wetland there. It's lower than the catch basin that's there right now. When you look into that catch basin, to the best of my ability or knowledge, it has pipes coming into it, which I think are downspouts from 74, the roof of 74 Robinwood Avenue under a previous notice of intent. And it then just filters into the ground, is the best of my ability. I see some water in there, standing water. But what we're proposing to do is install another drainage structure a little bit further away from us in the picture. If where we're standing, you look at that structure, go another, I don't know, 20 feet. And that's where we're proposing to install another yard drain, which is just basically, the intention is to bend the pipe, because the pipe's going to cross the rear yard underground of 74 Robinwood Avenue, turn right and go up between the two properties and connect into the town drainage system. We have described this idea to the city DPW. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, but I know Chirag was there, and they seem to be pretty much on board with this as well, just for everybody's knowledge. I said, wait a minute, I think we have wetlands here, so that's kind of why we're here in front of you, to make sure, obviously, we respect that process. The next picture, please. So here's, I know I talked about everything kind of from a high level. Now we can try to see it. And if you stay out far, I actually zoomed up on the next two so we can see it. Again, you see, I think if you orient to yourself, we have a drain basin up near that bordering vegetated wetland. I show a dark blue line. That's a proposed underground drainage line, 2 6-inch perforated pipes at a basically 0.75% slope, less than 1% slope. There's 2 6 inches because you're not going to get a lot of flow in those pipes. So I want to make sure I have ample volume, and I have very minimal cover over what's there now. We're trying to do as little earthwork as we possibly can within the 100-foot buffer zone. It's going to come to a center manhole between the two properties, bend to, as you're looking at on the plan, to the left, and catches, and it ties into the municipal drain on Robinwood Avenue, which is the light blue line. And then you'll see a couple little, I call them fingers. They're little 4-inch perforated pipe. It's a little bit of soggy, wet, backy, like grassed yard. So the intention of that is to try to draw down some of that water that's sitting on the neighbor's land and put it down into the ground and promote, hopefully, some infiltration into the ground as well. So the next picture, the next slide, I won't get into too many details here, but this is a zoom up of the bordering vegetated wetland to the north. What's really important to this that I want to show you is you see the lines for the bordering vegetated wetland, BV 1, 2, 3. Wetlands are to the north. Then there's a little circle above BBW-3. That's the existing catch basin with that initial rock that I showed you. You can see it's actually in the wetlands. And what's important, you can see the label on that. The rim is at 98.3. So we're proposing, and that's off our property too. Property line is that bold dash line. So what we're proposing to do is put a new catch basin in, or drain basin, at elevation 98.9. So it's actually higher than what the existing basin's doing. Water's going to pass through a stone check dam, basically to filter out any leaves, debris. I don't want this 6-inch pipe to really clog it all. In fact, Shirag and Bob probably are tired of me telling them that you're going to need to maintain this system when it's installed with rapid flow or just jet cleaning it to make sure the sediment doesn't build up in it. It doesn't have a lot of pitch in it. But essentially, it's 2 6-inch pipes flowing down on the property towards 80. We can go to the next page. We can always come back to this if anybody wants to see more details. It's coming down into another catch basin. Same deal there. The rim of that is at 99.75. The existing catch basin you can see far to the right. The rim of that's at 99.97. So I wanted to get something a little bit lower in the yard because what's been relayed to me is that there's a little bit of ponding that happens in the yard. So again, I want to get the water off the surface, put it into the ground as best I can. And then it bangs a left and goes out to the street. See the next page. There's a picture of High Rock. I thought that would be a good way to end this because I think that's in the rear yard somewhere. So I figured you would all recognize that and kind of open it up to questions or comments unless Rich Kirby has something to add or any of the owners that are on as well.
Can you back up one slide, please? I have a couple of questions, but I'll let the commission members speak first. My list. Allison, you have any comments or questions?
I have a question for you, Janet. This is the first time I've ever seen a wetland actually being drained.
Yeah.
And that just seems to me to be, I mean, it's flat as a pancake, the back of these lawns. It's hard to see. It was hard to see in the first slide that you showed to read the contours, but it looks like there's very, very little grade. You have very flat lawn like that, especially near a wetland, you're going to have it be soggy. So, you know, and then how much, you know, if you didn't have this, how much could you grade to help get a little bit of, you know, movement of the water across the land? But that's exacerbating the problem. It isn't only, I don't think that's the wetland. It's that it's really, really flat. And these were put in, you know, the homeowners, not this one, but the other one was there. So it's an existing condition. But if somebody came to us today and said, can we put a drain in a wetland and drain the wetland? We would say no. Right? Am I wrong?
Well, we actually let somebody put one in not too long ago.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm wrong. Okay.
But yeah.
Sorry, Ms. Bernardo.
And Allison, I think, and maybe Brian or Rich can correct me on this, but what I saw, and I guess if you go back one slide, is that the proposed rim is 6 inches higher than the existing rim. So the existing catch basin that's in the wetland is 6 inches lower than this new catch basin. So you're not going to drain the whole wetland. You're just going to drain and
but I have a question, Janet. If you were to, I know there's a fence, I know it's lawn, but if you were to say it's a wetland by soils, if this floods regularly, then I'm wondering, is the wetland, does it actually extend into the lawn? I mean, I know I'm not trying to be picky here, but you know what I mean?
I know, I agree. And that was, well, that's what Rich Kirby's here for, as the wetland scientist, because he flagged these and he can maybe talk about that more. So I'll let you.
It's just flagged by planting. That's not the only way
we evaluated soils too. There's about 1 foot to 18 inches of fill material over the native wetland soils within the backyards.
Okay.
I know that topographic relief isn't that apparent in the photographs, but when you're standing out there, you can see it.
Okay.
The other thing that we're trying to accomplish here too, and I reviewed the local bylaw regulations, and I realized this is sort of a round project in a square regulatory framework. But one of the things that the regulation says is that section 2.063G requires the design of stormwater basins to be maintenance-free, self-cleaning, deter acts of vandalism, etc. While this really isn't a stormwater basin, it is a stormwater system. And right now it's relying on gravity and, it's relying on electricity, the electrical infrastructure associated with that. So we're trying to replace that function with a more natural gravity-fed system that is more maintenance-free and self-sustaining.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So that's kind of what we're trying to accomplish here.
And if I may as well, I don't know if I made it clear. Has anybody walked this site as well? I did chase the municipal main, and as soon as you walk into the Needham Town Forest at the end of the road, there actually is a flared end where that entire drainage system dumps out, and it looks like a swale, a natural swale that's in there. So that's where this water is eventually going to go into a natural, it seems like a vegetated swale. I don't know, Rich, if you can talk about that a little bit. I don't know if you took really close look.
It may very well be where the water went before this development went in.
I think it really did.
If you walk in the Needham Town Forest, there's a little brook, and this brook is what comes from the stormwater drain on Robinwood.
Okay.
I know that the Robinwood neighborhood has struggled with this for many years, and one by one, each neighbor has kind of been to us. And typically, I would not support something like this, but I did go out and walk the site with Clay, and I could see what the problem was sitting in the backyards, and there was potential flooding. And I think that the wetland itself will still maintain as a wetland because they're not going to, there's still water will still be sitting in the wetland. They're not draining the whole thing. They are draining the lawn. The lawn will eventually become a wetland if it's not, if the catch basin's not there, it would eventually, I think, become a wetland. And I think the whole back probably was a wetland at some point, but it's not now. It's definitely something that I struggle with the thought process because I discourage it all the time. However, I did visit the site and I agreed at the time, and I still agree that this is an acceptable solution. But I'm willing to listen to all the commission members, and if anybody has other opinions.
Well, one question I have is are I think what I heard was the downspouts, or at least on one of the homes, is draining into the existing catch basins, I think. And the existing, excuse me here, but then the existing catch basins are pumped where again? Pumped to the wetland? Where's it being pumped to?
Pumped to the street.
Pumped to the street. So it's pumped to the street. You want to do a gravity feed. So again, but the house gutters, essentially, or downspouts, are draining into this catch basin. Okay, correct. Now, is it just the larger house, not the smaller house?
I'm not sure on that, Sharad or Rob. Can you?
Yeah, our catch basin or our downspouts just kind of go off onto the ground.
Okay.
And I can also clarify. So in 74 Robinwood, the house on the north, there's a catch basin in between 74 and 80, which is Janet actually put a stick in it. It's only a few feet deep, but it drains one downspout from the roof of 74 Robinwood. There's no pump in that one. The only pump is in the northern catch basin.
And so there's no pump in that one. Where does that one flow? To the street?
No, it's a standalone dry well, Artie.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now you're going to have that one connected to this whole system going out to the street.
No, actually, I have actually I purposely did not connect that to the street so that if water's connecting to that right now. I want that to still function as it is now. And unless you allow us to connect it, we don't have an issue with that, obviously.
Well, go back to the next picture.
Yep.
I think, I don't know who's running this. Clay, is this Clay running this? So I thought.
It's very misleading, but you can see I have a clean out at the end of that little finger, and I don't connect it exactly to that catch basin. I have no issue doing it, but I didn't want to affect the integrity of what's happening right now. I didn't. Does that make sense, Janet?
It does. I assumed that you did connect it. That's one I wanted to come back to here.
I have no issue connecting it. Unfortunately, right now, I think that invert would be at 97.6. The bottom of the structure right now is at 97.49. And the invert coming in for the pipe from the downspout is up around 98.4. So essentially, I would be taking all that water and draining it out. And I didn't think that was the original intention of when it was installed. It was installed as a dry well. So I kind of wanted to keep to respect that.
And what is the elevation of the heads of these, the heads relative to, let's say, the existing one relative to the elevation of the wetland? What are the elevations? I know it's practically flat, but what are the elevations?
When you already, just so I understand you clearly, when you say heads, are you talking rims?
Yeah, the rims. Yeah, the rims.
Okay, so the best I can tell here is you look at this northern wetland, right, Clayton, good job. So the BBW is running right along the 98.5 contour, 99 maybe. The rim of the proposed catch basin is 98.9. So it's roughly at the edge of the wetland, not going below the wetland. And what was my other point on that? Oh, so I also have the stone check dam there. It's going to kind of slow down the flow of water as well, because that's going to be a foot and a half high. And the other catch basin is higher than the wetlands by a foot, I think.
And I think it's important to remember that it's, a half a foot higher than the invert of the existing catch basin, which is currently pumping water. Presumably that pump will be turned off when this system replaces it and will be functioning.
And the existing catch basin is simply gravity fed from overflow of the wetland into it?
The existing catch basin takes water by, it flows in by gravity, and then it's immediately pumped.
But from the wetland, it's not. There's no downspouts. There's nothing else going to it. Just from the wetland.
Not to my knowledge, it's just the wetland right now. We're proposing my proposal and recommendation to the owners is to leave that there, but to pull the pumps out just in case this 2 6-inch pipes come clogged or something. At least it's a safe backup. Or you can drop a couple pumps in there, and it's actually more respective of the wetland. I don't want to dig that. It's a concrete structure out of the wetland and just make a mess. That just doesn't make sense to me.
It's also off-site, and in the event we have a Mother's Day storm or a repeat of something like that, it would be nice to have the option to move that excess water out of there.
So there's perforated pipes and they're high. They're only a foot below the rim. What's the A mean? Rim
so those are my
equals
invert, Janet, those are my invert elevations. The A is 97.9 is the invert. They're 6-inch pipes, so the crown is at 98.4. It's getting late. It's getting late for math, but I got a foot and a half of cover. I could have got some more cover, but I would have had to fill the whole backyard up, and that didn't seem like the intent of what we wanted to be doing here. The perforated pipes, just because of buoyancy, I have such minimal pitch. If they become buoyant at all, they could lose the pitch, and then the water just ponds and everything's for naught.
So what I'm seeing here is that there's a 99 at the wetland,
Yep.
and then a 100-foot contour that's pretty, close to that edge. And when I was out at the property, I believe the homeowner told me that the whole backyard has filled, like over this 100, like this area has filled up with water. Is that true?
Not the entire backyard. It goes a little bit south of where that 100 is, but not the entire backyard.
It doesn't fill up the 100, but it fills up between the 99 and the 100 maybe.
Right.
Yes.
The pictures I've seen, Janet, is that it basically finds its elevation at about 100. So it almost becomes like a peninsula, I think.
And if we go back to the other picture,
Yes.
which is kind of,
It's hard to see in the backyard because I didn't zoom up on it, but
yeah,
there's a small.
because the adjacent property, which is kind of part of this also, is that they're basically, there's a kind of a swing set in a playground and some tree and they I don't know if you have a photo of that tree, but when I was out there, they had cut a tree down asking us for, I believe this is the right property. They asked us, they came to us. We said, keep a snag. So they cut it and they have a big planted pot in it. Is that
Yeah,
true?
that was us. That's us.
So I was really quite impressed that they kept to the whole, yeah, we didn't want them to cut the whole tree down. They kept a portion of the tree and they made it a big flower pot. But they are also, kind of, so it's not going to flood over their property also. The whole thing seems to, that's what I heard, is that it all kind of fills up.
Hey, Janet,
This is showing the 100 though.
Hey, Janet, I'd like to get some clarification on, so the existing catch basin, let's call it, which has the downspouts going to it, which is now like in the middle right-hand area, but a few feet away from the wetland. What is that line that's going from the new catch basin area to that area? What is that hashed area? What is that about right there?
The perforated, it's a 4 inches of perforated PVC pipe with stone around it. Basically acts like a infiltration trench under the ground.
Like a French drain over to the new material?
It's draining, it's allowing some of the surface drainage to kind of, water will kind of takes the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So that perforated pipe becomes an easier flow than.
Okay, so it's not, okay. So I mean, I think it does make sense to allow the downspout, even though I guess it's just one, to continue doing its thing, putting water back in / the ground / over to the wetland versus having it immediately go to the street. I think that makes some sense. And so that's essentially a French drain, getting a little, and almost like the little minor subsurface water going out to the drains of the street. One question I have is this: when it goes to the street and then goes down into the forest, then goes into, let's say, a version of a stream, where is it going from there? Where does that water go to?
Yeah, did anybody look? I kind of am curious where that goes to. I
So
mean,
there's
the
a-
town forest is a big place, but.
There's a little pond right before the rail trail, and so it kind of collects into a pond.
Yep. So if you're walking down the end of Robinwood, you keep going straight into the forest there. There's a little brook on your left. That's the brook from that drain. And as Shrag said, right before you get to the rail trail, because the railroad right of way is up, there's a little pond area.
If I can share my screen, I can show you the MassGIS aerial and the USGS topographic map, which shows this. This one. Okay. Can we see that?
Yes.
So here's the USGS map. Here's number 74 and 80. Here's the end of Robinwood. Here's the rail trail. And this is the pond of which we are speaking. The aerial image is here. And you can see the end of Robinwood Avenue. You can see the flow signature of the stream. and it eventually flows to the pond. But of course, the pond is like right here, just out of frame. This is the rail trail here.
Is that the only thing flowing into that pond?
Looks like it.
Well, the high rock, there's that.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of groundwater stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of water comes down off of High Rock.
Yeah, this almost looks like a delta, where you have the primary channel probably flowing over relatively steep topography. And then as the land flattens out, you can see that it almost deltas out, and you probably have a wetland system here that contributes to that pond. Here's the FEMA map, which shows a black and white depiction of that. This is the pond down here, and there's the railroad.
So commission members, Allison, do you have anything more to ask?
Yeah.
Bill?
Curious, are you going to be lowering the invert of the pipe at Robinwood? Or are you going to hold the elevation of the pipe that's there now?
We're holding the elevation of the pipe that's there now. We're basically creating, if you're familiar with construction methods, I'm thinking it's going to be like a doghouse type of manhole.
Okay. And the stormwater piping that's in the street now, are they catch basins or are they dry wells? Are they?
Oh, I believe, I was about to say they are catch basins.
Okay, so there's no leaching in the ones that are there now. And what are the elevations of those? Do you have the elevations of those pipes that are in the street?
Sure. The elevation of those, where we're connecting is 96.3. So that's if we want, I don't know if you want to bring if we're going to do math here, we can bring up the pictures again.
No, but that elevation's already set. Is it going directly into the drain, or is it going into a grate or catch basin?
No, I'm creating a structure there, so I'll tee into the existing main, basically.
Okay, and the pipes that are there now, are they also perforated? Do we know? Or
in the street, I don't believe they are.
No. The ones that you're going to be putting in the property.
Yes, they will be perforated for buoyancy.
But are they perforated now?
The roof drains.
No, I don't believe. I honestly don't know. I would be surprised if they are, but they have. Yeah, I don't know because I didn't do a sewer scope or video scope of them.
I'm just curious to know if those pipes at any time fill up with groundwater now and might not be effective.
The fact that my survey crew was able to pick up the inverts of those in the structures leads me to believe that they're not submerged in water. Only being that I know sometimes they wouldn't, if they see water, they're not going to go digging for a pipe underwater.
But if you're trying to get a gravity from the back to the front, will they be put at a higher elevation than the ones that are there now? Slightly higher? About the same?
About the same, I would think. About the same.
Minimum pitch?
Beyond minimum. I don't know, Janet, you're, I think, an engineer as well, right? I mean, 0.7%. So
okay,
it's so nominal. I would love a little more, but
do we know if any one of these houses have sump pumps that discharge, and have these manholes in the yards been used?
Yep. So actually, as part of the proposal on 74, I know they have a sump pump right now, and I'll let Chirag talk about where that goes. I don't want to say anything incorrectly, but I know he had asked me to connect that into our new drainage lines. I made him aware of, well, I don't always like to have a direct connection from outside to inside in case something fails. But there is a positive of that when the sump pump goes on, it actually is going to create a little bit of flow in these pipes that we're putting in at minimal pitch. And that's going to helpfully clean it out, act almost as a natural cleaning, jet clean.
Okay. And do we know what the type of soils are out there? Are they silty? Are they?
I haven't done any test bits, honestly, because I'm trying, it's really not a drainage design.
Right.
You know, there's no change in characteristics. Right now, I think, Shirag, your sump pump discharges to the existing pump.
Our basement sump pump discharges somewhere in the backyard. I'm not exactly sure where it was installed. I think when the house was built, well before we bought it. So I'm not sure where that pipe goes to, but if you follow the direction of it, it just goes towards the backyard.
Yeah, it's unclear.
Would the new system ever be used to remediate the water problem in the house?
Well, we're connecting it to where my
You out?
proposal is to connect it to it.
One of the only reasons I have concern is if the soils are really silty, that with all this groundwater, you could sort of have a negative effect downstream with pumping sort of, or a lot of over time silty water into the system.
When we inspected the soils within and adjacent to the wetland, we found a sandy loam soil was the texture that we had keyed out.
What, more gravel than silt?
Well, loam is a mixture of sand, gravel, and silt. You know, a sandy loam it's still a loamy soil, but it has enough sand in it. And particularly within the fill material in the lawn area, if I recall, it was more of a coarser sand in that sandy loam.
But,
So
but there are other sumps downstream that are serviced by the town that could over time deal with any silt created by your system.
Tim, are those going to be wrapped? Those pipes will be wrapped, won't they?
When you say the pipes are going to be wrapped, yes, they're going to be wrapped. Yes, no, but I think what Bill's talking about is from the sump pump in the house, the water it's pumping, he's worried about being silty, right?
No, throughout the whole system itself. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of opportunity to have silt get into that system and have a negative effect.
I can't guarantee there's not going to be any silt, but we are wrapping all the stone in filtered fabric. So we're trying to make sure that there's not any introduction of silt from. Does that answer it?
Yeah, answer all my questions. Thank you.
There's probably a greater chance of the sanding of the streets getting into the catch basins and that sand making its way into the offsite stream down gradient to Robinwood.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Peter, any comments?
Not really, not so much germane to this particular project. I guess, are we okay with the condition of that isolated wetland? I mean, it looks like a play area. And I mean, not to open another can of worms, and I know we've been down that route with that tree getting cut down. But would you say that's a do not disturb area or has been very much disturbed?
You were out there with me. I feel like that wasn't an area that they were using for their backyard because I think it was too wet. This is Rob. I think that's your backyard,
Yeah.
right?
Within the area that's demarcated as the wetland zone, I mean, our girls run through it sometimes, but there's nothing built on that.
Okay.
There's
no other question.
Trees and things in there. But it's like it wasn't really vegetated though. I don't remember it being vegetated.
Yeah, so that was my concern. It looked like a lot of bare soil, and why it's not more vegetated. Maybe it's just too shady.
In the spring, sometimes you will get more. I mean, right now there's not a whole lot there, but there are little plants that come up, and usually when it's leafy, you see them a bit more.
There's a fair amount of seedling sweet pepper bush and European buckthorn, along with some sedges in that area. There's two larger red maple trees that are, have the canopy, the overhanging canopy there.
All right, thanks. No more questions.
Stephen?
Yeah, I kind of share your concerns, Janet. I struggle with this a little bit too, as far as, are we setting a precedent for the rest of the homeowners draining their backyards? But you know, this is a disturbed area, and I don't know if it seems like a very low value wetland area. It's not, I mean, I don't know what the quality is for habitat and so forth, but I guess I'm okay with it.
Sue? Where did she go? Sue, you out there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my screen, I lost my screen. I was just gonna ask one question if you can hear me.
Yep.
The goal of this is to become attached to the town's storm storm system.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think the goal is to come up with a way so that there's not standing water in the backyard that has to be pumped out with a electrical pump. So they are trying to come up with a way to have a gravity fed pipe system that has 6-inch pipes with 6-inch perforated pipe with stone around them. That should go very flat gravity, so it will continue to flow out. When it rains really hard, well, water will flow out into the street system, out into the town forest. And so not causing multiple feet of water in the backyard or even a foot of water, but it will still have, you know, water in the wetlands. We'll still have water in it because it's not draining the whole wetland. It's above, the elevation's above the wetland.
Well, I mean, plus I think what's happening is, I mean, one of those catch basins that's added, I think it sounds like the elevation is slightly higher than the existing one, the one that has the electric pumps in it. So I suppose we could argue that's not hurting it. That does not have a negative impact on it is it's already existing, but it's existing is lower, which now in theory isn't being used. So it sounds like to some degree, what's being added really is the middle one. The one that's in kind of in between the two houses where the one flow, and I think that's the direction of the flow, right? What's flowing across, which seems a little odd as far as trying to have the least amount of, or the greatest amount of pitch to flow to the backyard, then over there. But in any case, it sounds like that's really, to some degree, that's really the one at issue. So my battery's getting low. That's really the one at issue is that right there. Sorry, my battery's getting a little low. So the other one isn't really, we're not really adding anything. We're just changing it from a electric one to a gravity fed, but we're raising the elevation of the lip.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. And then we're getting it out to the street.
Yeah.
I was just coming back to you, Artie. Okay, so does anybody in the audience have anything to add or questions? Is there anybody out there?
It does look like there's at least one raised hand, and I can.
Okay, you want to let them?
All right, this is
themselves?
Cynthia. I'm allowing them to talk. They can. Cynthia, you can unmute yourself.
Hello. I just want to give you some background of some history because I've lived here for 34 years.
Hi, Cynthia.
Okay. Hello. Hi, Artie.
Hi, Cynthia.
So I'll give you a little history of how this problem arose.
Okay.
My friend lived at number 74, and she wanted to put an addition on her house. So she went to the town, and they said, you cannot put an addition on your house because there's a spring, an underground spring there. I found out there was an underground spring there before because when I hooked into the town, when the town built dug a trench, it broke a pipe. And then I was told that pipe brings the spring water into the, you all were talking about it. It's like it's where the water drains into the woods. If you go
the pipe, the town forest.
So historically, there was a spring there, and in order to build the other two houses, I guess the Menser house, which is 80, and my friend's house, they had to put in a pipe back then and have it, and there was an easement next door neighbor and my house, there was an easement so they could build put this pipe through our houses. So I had that repaired, and I knew that was going on. And then they didn't allow my friend to put an addition on, but she sold it and she bought a larger house in Westwood, and they built a house right on top of the spring. And once that house was built on the spring, why Needham wouldn't allow, rightfully so, didn't allow my friend to put an addition on, but why they allowed a house to be built there, I don't know, because they knew there was a spring there. Once that house was built, then the water problems began. Thank goodness I didn't have any problems, but my next door neighbor at the time, he got a terribly wet basement. He had water in his basement. And then the Menser house, number 80, that yard was fine. But then it turned into literally a pond. And when that happened, I remember we were all eating dinner. 2 mallards landed on my driveway and walked and waddled over into the number 80 and thought it was a pond. So this whole problem was caused because the town of Needham allowed a developer to build a home on top of a spring. This never happened before then. I just want you all to know that.
What is your address?
I live at 96, and my friend, she lives in Westwood. I don't know if you want to talk to her, and she can tell you about what happened when she applied to put an addition on. So it just seems to me kind of strange that the town knew that there was a spring there, wouldn't allow my friend to build, rightfully so, but then closed their eyes when the developer wanted to build and caused problems for everybody who lives near that house and the current owners. It's so unfair to all 3 of those homes.
Yeah, when we were out there, it was evident that something had kind of gone amiss. Because
that's it.
It was low and there was no way for it to get out, and it didn't really make sense. So
if I may, this is Rob, and hey, Cynthia, this is exactly what we're trying to address, because, it is a problem. Before we moved in here, because we were in the old Menser house. This is the original house that's been here since the 50s, and there was a whole lot of flooding that happened here before we moved in. We fixed that with a French drain, but that's exactly what we're trying to fix.
So I don't know if they can find out where that spring is. How did the town know there was a spring there? And can they do anything to find out the source? Because that's what they did before. They just basically went to the source and drained it through a pipe years ago, and it worked.
I mean, I can't speak for a spring. There is kind of just an area down in people's backyards that tends to flow downhill down the street.
yeah, I think that's the goal of this, is to kind of basically take the pipe and move the water from the backyard to the front yard and out into the town forest. Which is maybe.
But it sounds, when I was listening to y'all talking, it sounds like you think it's just when it rains, or it's just, that kind of thing. This is a spring. And if you don't address it as that as the problem, that there's a spring there, there's an actual bubbling up spring, I don't know if you're going to solve it this way.
Just speaking from personal experience here, the only time when our backyard gets really bad is when there's a big rain. And
okay,
other times of the year, I've certainly never seen any water bubbling up here or anything like that.
Yeah, I haven't either. Really, the springtime is the tough time. Like when all the snow is melting, that's when we really see it.
Well, all I can tell you is that it didn't used to be this way. And it was when that house was built. And as I said, my friend wasn't allowed to put an addition on because they told her there was a spring there. Do they have any maps, old maps, that indicate an underground spring?
There was the map that they were showing a few minutes ago, kind of show the stream in the town forest. Doesn't really extend into where the houses are anymore. But I'm not sure what had happened with that. We don't really know what the town thought, and now the houses are there. So I guess.
Well, I'm just saying that I studied physics, and you got to figure out what's the physics of this. If it is just rain coming down and it's not draining, that's one thing. But I suspect there's a spring there. Otherwise, why would the town tell my friend there was a spring there?
Yeah,
Why
well,
would,
there easily there was something there, and there is still probably, and this, as the water, if there's a spring that's continuing to flow through the properties, this would, there will pops up in the wetlands, which is why they're wetlands. And maybe that's part of this connection. And then this pipe will become the conduit to take any of that spring water as well as any excessive rainwater.
should the pipe be deeper, I'm thinking? Because the pipe that was
No,
in
we don't
my
want
yard
the, because we
was
don't want the
very
pipe
deep.
deeper. We don't want it deeper because we don't want them to drain the entire wetland. We want the wetland to stay because we like the wetland. We just don't, are kind of appreciative that the homeowners maybe don't need to have a foot of water in their backyard. That's not wetland. But we want the wetland to stay. So if they put it any lower, they would have to, they would drain out the whole wetland.
Well, the other thing I remember historically about the town forest is when I first moved here, which was in 1986, everybody used to rake their leaves and they put this huge pile, and it was right over where that thing drained, and they didn't know that. And it used to be very damp and swampy back there and lots of mosquitoes. And then one day, Norfolk County came in and dug that stream with a little tiny backhoe. They came in and they redug the stream. They took away the enormous leaf pile. They told me to tell everyone on the street that that's where the storm drain drained. They were actually throwing their leaves on top of it, and there was like this Mount leaf moor on top, like a big pile. And that really helped the neighborhood not to have as many mosquitoes. And I wonder if Norfolk County could help, because they knew where to put that stream, to dig that stream.
Yeah, well, and they seem to know where it is now in the town forest because they found the flared end section. Is that correct? And
Yeah.
so that is the goal. That is the goal of this project, to try to reduce their ponding in the backyard, which may be from a stream, or it may be from excessive water, or a combination of both. We appreciate your information. That was really helpful.
Oh, thanks. And I hope everything works out for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for participating. Anybody else in the audience, Clay?
There are no other raised hands.
Does anybody else from the commission have any additional information? Do you feel like we have enough information on this project? Does it have a file number?
It does have a file number, yes.
Do we need anything else, or are we ready to close the hearing?
I believe logistically we have all the documentation.
Are we satisfied? I think we're satisfied. If you guys think we're satisfied, I could be satisfied. So I'll take a motion if somebody wants to give me one.
I move that we close the hearing of 7480 Robin Wood Ave, DP file number 234854.
Second.
You, Artie and Steve, all in favor? Allison?
Aye.
Artie?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Yeah, aye. Thank you very much for your well-presented presentation.
Thank you very much for your time this
Appreciate
evening.
your time.
Thanks.
Hopefully your night
Okay.
moves on quickly.
We're moving along. Okay, now we're up to 766 Chestnut Street. Does not have a DP file number. But do we have Joyce Hastings here and Kobe?
Yes,
Temple?
Joyce Hastings from GLM.
Anybody with you, or are you
No,
presenting?
it's just me.
Okay. So we do not have a DEP phone number, is that true?
That is true.
So we will not be able to close the hearing, but we can open it and hear your presentation. We're ready.
If I could share my screen. So we had some discussion at 2 meetings ago about this property. This is in response to an enforcement order. So we filed a notice of intent with our planting plan. And the only changes that I've made here were I've moved some of the plantings around into what is the lawn. And then we went from 30 shrubs, where we had originally shown you a couple meetings ago, to 48, and from 32 shrubs to 50. And we've placed them in areas where it is open, where there's no tree or shrub cover, in through this area here, out to the edge of the lawn, and over through this area here, and out into the edge of the lawn. And I'm going to show, can you see this photo?
Yes.
All right, so this is looking.
Can you make it bigger? Oh, good.
Yep.
Thanks.
This is to the, can you also see the plan underneath?
Yep.
So this is on the west side. Here, if you're looking through here, it goes out to Chestnut Street. So the trees that were planted, trees and shrubs would be through through this area here, where you see, these are trees he's already planted in this area, but we've put a number of more into this area here and further towards what will be Heather Lane along that edge, and more towards this way, towards the other property line. But I wanted to have you see what it looks like. And I'm going to look to the other side. This is the garage side. The garage is up in this area here. And, this is what's out here now. So it would be, the trees are in this area through here, up around towards the garage, and through the front of the lawn over here. Okay.
Allison, have you had a chance to look at these? It's been in front of us a few times now, but.
Well, I try to get the right plan back. So my planting list is to the side. And again, so that would be the dark circles are the trees, and the light circles that don't have the
I don't hear you anymore. Okay.
Yeah, so the ones that have the little dots that are labeled are existing trees, and then the plain circles are shrubs.
The only issue I have is bearberry is so tiny and it really needs to be in the sun and it's really a ground cover. It's not really a shrub.
We'd be happy to change that if you.
I think you might, I think you might want to change it to something else, witch hazel or something that will have more of a chance of living, up higher. You could pick what a native shrub that's in the.
Sure, I'll pick 2 more shrubs and take out the bayberry.
Okay, it's not bayberry, it's bearberry.
Bearberry.
Bearberry, yeah, it's lovely, but it's this literally this tall.
It is small.
So is the existing edge of lawn this kind of solid line?
It's this circuit, this line right here.
Yeah, the snake-like line. And the trees that were removed are the X's. So
those are the X's, yeah.
There is no trees that were removed within that 50-foot buffer between the BBW and there is no trees removed in there.
There's 1 tree over here.
That's the isolated vegetated buffer.
Yeah.
The other side.
No, there's no.
There was no trees in there removed.
Nothing that was taken out.
Okay. commission members, who wants to? Artie, you have any comment?
No, no comment. No.
Bill,
And no comment.
Peter,
That's fine.
Stephen? Did he go away? Sue?
No comment.
Allison, I think I started with you, but
No comment, just that it looks like a pretty property. Looks like a nice property.
yeah, I mean, I know the originally we had some concern because they took a lot of trees down and then to make a lawn. Then Joyce was able to show us exactly where those trees were removed according to the buffer zones, and was able to determine that one was actually an isolated vegetated wetland and not a BVW as we may have originally thought. So there was a lot of concern along the way about the extensive tree removal within our jurisdiction, but then it was determined it was an isolated vegetated wetland, so it wasn't as extensive as we had originally thought.
Well, we also made the mistake. We have 100-foot buffer zone off of an isolated wetland. So it is in our jurisdiction. Yeah,
We do. Oh, it is, and we do, and we have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
Okay. Because I know we also have that 50-foot, if it's a 50-foot wooded area, but did that come into play here? That's why I was wondering if they took any trees down within 50 feet of the BVW, but they didn't.
Right.
But they did within the isolated vegetated wetland, but they took 1, 2, 3 down. So are we satisfied with the number of trees that are going in and the expanse of grass area that remains within our buffer zone? And we might be. If anybody objects, they should say now. But we don't have a file number, so.
No, I will take care of that for the next meeting, and I will revise the planting schedule and get that back to the commission's office. If we could continue this to your next year.
Okay, is there anything else we need? And Deb, is there anything that you would like to see on this plan?
No, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so we need a motion to continue 766 Chestnut Street till December 3rd.
So moved.
Second. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Allison?
Aye.
Artie?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Janet? Aye. Oh, Stephen, you're back. I lost you for a little bit.
Sorry.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much. Good
Thank you
night.
very much. Have a good night. Okay, I see some people in the audience, so therefore I assume that there's some something that they're here for. So should we? Can we help these people out? I guess I'm trying to look.
All 4 of the COCs, I think, have people associated with them.
Okay, so we're just gonna take them one by one. So 479 Dedham Ave, DEP file number 234762, request for certificate of compliance. What's the story? Who's gonna tell us?
That's us, I guess.
Oh, okay. You're ready.
Hello. So we.
Say your name and your address, please.
I'm Emma Smith-Zabarski. Our address is 459 Dedham Avenue, but this was a subdivided property that was originally offered to 479 Dedham Avenue. So we have been the owners of record the entire time that this has been worked on. We were not the ones that it was granted to. And we obtained our partial certificate of compliance 2 years ago with the instructions that we continue monitoring the plantings that had gone in. So we have done that, and we have sent our reports in, and we sent a final report in about a month ago, I think. And so we are here to show you pictures if you want, or I don't know if you've walked over across the street because we're directly across from Deb and Clay.
Oh, this is that property. I kept trying
Yeah.
to think where it was. Okay,
Yeah.
Deb, you have a recommendation? You're on mute though. Deb, you're muted.
Sorry. Dave Burke conducted the monitoring, so we've gotten the monitoring reports. They installed a little over 100 woody plants, including 20 saplings. So they had a 70% survival. I guess there's a lot of deer browse in that area. So we require 75%, but I think that he made a good argument about native volunteers spreading throughout the area as well. So it is fully vegetated, whether by plants that have survived or plants that have moved in on their own.
And have not been removed, so that's a plus.
Right. And they're also doing some invasive work, removing a good amount of buckthorn. There is a lot of ground cover of buckthorn coming in that he recommends that they mow to try to keep that under control.
You know what that is, and you know.
We have been working on that. There's some buckthorn actually farther into the wetland that is pretty well established. In the buffer zone that we planted, we've been doing a pretty good job of keeping it under control, but it takes regular pulling by hand. Yeah. And then there's the area on the house side, on the driveway side of the part where we do our plantings, that we do mow, twice a year basically, to try to keep that down.
So overall, I think it's a success, and I recommend issuing the COC.
Okay. Anybody in the commission have any comments, concerns? I'm not going to call on you. I can see you all now, so wave wildly if you need to. I see nobody waving their hands. So I'm looking for a motion to issue this is a full, because they already been monitoring. Thank you very much for your patience in watching our meeting tonight. A full certificate of compliance for 479 Dedham Ave, DP file number 2344762. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion, so moved.
Second.
Very much. All in favor. Allison.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Sue.
Aye.
Artie.
Aye.
Janet. Aye. Great. Thank you very much. Enjoy your property. Keep up with the buckthorn.
We'll work on it.
Thanks. Okay, 10 to 16 Charles Street, request for certificate of compliance, DEP file number 2344727. Is John's here.
Batchelder, yes, that's me.
Okay, great. And where are we at with this one?
We are requesting the certificate of compliance. We've completed the monitoring period. The final monitoring report was issued and sent to the Clay and Deb, and I believe yourself. This property has a long history. The property was sold in 2016. We're no longer the owners, but we turned the property over in compliance and started the monitoring period. The current owner ran into some issues with it, so we've had to continue to maintain and deal with the property to date. We started the monitoring period over again. The partial was issued in the spring by the commission, and the request was made to do the final monitoring period at the end of the growing season, which was done. So we're seeking the final certificate at this point.
Great, thank you. And did Deb or Clay, did you go and do a site visit?
Yep. So they essentially needed to plant eight trees, which they have, as he mentioned, done a few times over. But They were supposed to plant 3 gray dogwood, 2 speckled alder, and 3 pussy willows, but they ended up installing 7 pussy willows and a gray dogwood. And they're all doing great. So I think that we can issue a COC.
Okay. Anybody in the commission have anything to add to that? Anybody in the audience have anything to add? You see anybody out there, Clay?
I just want to thank the owners of the building for housing in the Mia Nina Chip Manufacturing Company there. That's all. If anyone has never or ever wanted to visit the chip manufacturing facility for Mia Nina chips that are manufactured right here in Needham, they're in that building. It's pretty cool.
Oh, is that where they are?
Yeah.
I love those chips.
Yeah. I stumbled across it by accident. I walked in, I'm going, there's a chip manufacturing plant here. It's pretty cool.
Can you buy them in there? Or you have to just buy them I buy them in the store. You can't buy them there.
Sure.
I didn't know that that's where they were.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That's a fun little tidbit. Okay, so we can issue a full certificate of compliance. That's the goal. This property has been around for so long, so I'm kind of glad to see you go. 10 to 16 Charles Street, DP file number 2344727. I have a motion to issue, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Allison,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Artie,
Aye.
Janet, aye. Great, thank you very much. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, 56 Pershing Road, DP file number 234839, request for certificate of compliance. Oh, we have maybe a lot of people here, Parsons and Jesse Johnson.
That's me.
Okay. And just you, or there's others with you?
No, also the applicant or the owner of the facility that they're selling this house is also here, the Parsons, but I am the engineer of record and I'm here to answer any questions if you have any. And we're looking for
them. Are they, they're definitely here. I just don't see them.
Oh yeah, John Parsons here.
Oh, on
I'm
the
sorry, I
phone.
was unable to. Yes.
No worries. I just want to make sure that you can hear us and that you're
Absolutely. Loud and clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
okay. Okay, so remind us.
Sure.
What this project.
Single family home that was constructed and basically the order conditions was issued for, I'm sorry, it was basically a tear down and rebuild. There was an existing home that was there, tore it down and put a newer and bigger one within the same footprint, but extended back a little bit. And there was work within the buffer zone. So the order conditions was for installation of the new dwelling, some lawn and stormwater infrastructure as well, associated with taking care of and mitigating the roof runoff and the new impervious surface. So we're here for the partial certificate of compliance. Everything is constructed, the yard is established, and they actually have a closing set up for the house. So they're trying to get this portion of it settled.
Okay. Partial. Deb or Clay, any comment?
Yep, I was out there after receiving the request and reviewing the plans. Everything is as it should be on the as-built. I did confirm that the stormwater inspection ports were in the right locations. They do have the plantings in. They have a line of trees. If you recall, this property was separated from the wetland by another property, so they're entirely kind of in the outer buffer zone, and a lot of the property is not even within the buffer zone. They did have the downspouts going into the unit though, and everything was looking good.
Okay, so you would recommend issuing a partial?
I would, yep.
Anybody in the commission members have anything to add to that? Anybody in the audience?
Just some more nostalgia on this one. This was the home of Dick and Faye Remnitz. And when I started at Raytheon a long time ago, Dick worked at Raytheon when I started there. And so this is the house they were in for many, many years until his passing.
I have all sorts of fun facts today.
There you go.
Okay, so you're good to issue. Anybody in the audience have anything to add? The homeowner, you good?
I'm set. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Can I have a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for 56 Pershing Road, DP file number 2348839.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Allison,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Artie,
All right.
Janet, aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice night.
Thanks for your patience. Okay, 1968 Central Street, Walker School, DP file number 234804, request for certificate of compliance. Is somebody here for that?
Hi, this is Brandon Lee from Kelly Engineering.
Oh, okay. Walker School, Brandon Lee. Okay, got it. Let me check you off on it. Okay, what would you like to tell us?
The Walker School's residential connector in the multi-purpose building was constructed in accordance with the plans. There was a slight enlargement of the multi-purpose building when they filed for the building permit. The enlargement was over the proposed sidewalk. So there was additional chambers added. And it continues to hold the 100-year storm event. And in addition, they planted 2 maple trees for the 1 tree that was removed. So we're here for a request for certificate of compliance.
Is this a full certificate or a partial?
Full.
Deb or Clay, you have anything to add?
No, it's pretty straightforward. I did ask him to forward the drainage calculation showing that it was enlarged for the additional square footage that that wasn't permitted. So he did forward that to me. So I was fine with that. The planting plan showed they were going to plant 3 trees, including an American beech. So did they just not plant that?
I think initially they were gonna plant 1 maple and 1 beech, but they decided to plant 2 maples instead.
Okay, it still meets the guideline, so it's fine. I was just curious. So I guess I'm fine with issuing.
Any commission members have any comment? Anybody in the audience have anything to add? So I will take a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance for 1968 Central Street, DP file number 234804.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Allison,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Artie,
Aye.
aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience. Okay, Heather Lane is not happening tonight. We want to talk about any of these other things, Eagle Scout, upcoming meetings, changes to COVID.
Sure.
No.
Tell us how you really feel.
We're not
So
done
waiver-
with the other, we're not done with the other stuff, you know.
I know.
I know, we have
Let's
to
just
do
turn
those
to
orders.
something light though, and then we'll delve into the exhibits.
Okay.
So waiver fee protocols during COVID. So a lot of our work, so even if people are just doing plantings within the 25 foot, we've been requiring waiver requests and fees and such, which we always give back. If they're doing a little more work, then, you know, we may say it's $250 or we lower the amount. So during COVID, it's a little more difficult because we're not just handing back the checks to the people. When we decide we're going to waive waive the regulations for work in the 25-foot for things such as plantings. And plantings are really an exempt activity anyways. So I don't know if we necessarily want them to continue to request waivers for just installing plants. But just, at least during COVID, if we always give back the $1,000 fee for these planting situations, I'm wondering if we really need to collect it.
Well, I guess I don't have a problem with it. I thought the reason that we collected it is because it became a headache because nobody was handing it, kind of giving the check, and then it was, what do we do with that? So as long as applicants that you really believe we're going to require a fee from, so it's more than plantings because they're putting a deck in or something.
Right.
I guess I don't have a problem with it, but my understanding of the reason that we collect it is to avoid a headache for you guys later on.
It's essentially because it requires more oversight from us when they're working closer to the wetland resource area.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's
kind
kind of the theory behind why we have the fee.
But the reason we collect it early is because
it's part of the application. You're requesting a waiver for the work. You have to send in the $1,000 fee. So I'm kind of specifically talking about where it's just plantings in the 25-foot, and if we still want them to request a waiver for putting the plants in, that's okay. But just the process of getting the $1,000 check and then giving it right back is kind of,
getting old.
Yeah, well, just, because we got to mail stuff out now and we got to contact them. What do you want us to do with the check? And since it's kind of an exempt activity anyways, it's kind of,
Would this be
Anybody
just,
have-
oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. What would you like to say, Sue?
Would this be just during the COVID period?
That's specifically what I'm talking about. If you want to talk another time about whether we really think that they need to request a waiver specifically for putting plantings in the 25-foot, we can do that. But for now, just as a bookkeeping kind of thing during COVID, I just wanted your opinion.
I'm fine with it. Anybody else?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Thank you. I'll let Clay talk about the next two things, but the last thing, so DEP, we had, during COVID, they came up with a new legislation, which essentially made it so we didn't have the 21-day limits as far as scheduling a hearing for a submittal, and also the 21 days for issuing the permits. But that is going to end on December 1st. They're going back to the previous deadline. So what that kind of means for us is, if we could get signing of the permits, maybe, a little sooner. I'm going to try to get everything over to Janet's garage tomorrow for signatures. So if we could, get that done, because we're going to have to stick to the 21-day period now. So just wanted to give you an update on that.
And if there's a better solution than my garage, anybody?
Yeah, no, I it's worked for us. Sometimes it's taking a little bit longer to sign, and we're only allowed one person in the office at a time. So I have to schedule on a calendar when I can go in. So, I kind of have to work around that too, as far as issuing. So it's taking me a little bit longer to issue. So if we stack that on it's a little bit longer to sign, then we're kind of pushing our limit. So this
Okay.
is my nice way of saying, hey, go over to Janet's and sign stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. And then the other two are Clay can talk to you about.
Bye.
I'll start with the meeting schedules. I don't know if anyone was able to really look at the schedule that was put on the Dropbox. We are getting together though our December schedules, and because we're still remote and because it looks like for the foreseeable future into the next year, we're still going to be remote. We're working to schedule our meetings as well as several other boards that are on the same Zoom license. So I don't know if people have looked at it and are happy preliminarily with that schedule.
Didn't make sense. I did notice it Zoom calls all the way through. That was kind of funny for a whole year.
Hopefully it won't be
very
like
depressing.
Yeah, it was depressing. I agree.
Yeah. Worst case scenario.
And then additionally, in December of this year, still we're scheduled to have two meetings on the 3rd and on the 17th, I believe. It looks like things are starting to lighten up. We only have one new hearing for the next meeting on December 3rd. And we do have conflicts with the holidays and access to the Zoom license. So if the commission is okay with it, we're proposing to cancel the second meeting for December 17th and push things to January, which of course is also contingent, unfortunately, with the governor's executive order now expiring. It means that we can't force it. We do have to make sure that if we get something, we have to have the applicant okay. But if it's okay with the commission, we'd like to at least try to coerce anybody still filing to push out to January.
Anybody in the commission really want to come on December 17th? Oh, come like here we are. Sitting in our houses.
I figured.
Oh, come all ye faithful.
10 o'clock.
I think this
Okay.
meeting counts as a couple of meetings.
I did want to bring to your attention, after that Boy Scout project for the picnic table, it came out very nicely if anybody's been over to the Reservoir Trail. We have had a number of other scouts take notice and have been hounding us for more and more projects. And unfortunately, I have not finished walking all the parcels myself to try to compile things. So one, I'm happy to find out if anybody has other potential scout projects that we can be handing off to them. And two, I know that we do have stairs at Ridge Hill that connect the Swamp Trail to the Esker Trail that are in awful condition. And I think it would be a good project for a scout. However, I do think that there's some concern that if the scout does not complete this project well, we inherit we have to fix it ourselves. On the other hand, I think that the stairs themselves are already a big enough problem that I'm not sure we could inherit something much worse. I do have just
Weren't those stairs originally talked about someone fixing them like 3 or 4 years ago? Anyone remember that? I thought something had already been mentioned about that, someone fixing it back then.
Yeah, there may have potentially, but it did not come to fruition.
My proposal would be to, obviously the scout, since it's the Swamp Trail and there's wetlands down at the base of this, they'd have to come back before you to have approval of their plans before they move forward anyway. So you would get a sign off on the design and the methods and such. As you can see, there's a lot of erosion that comes down, and it's to the point where there's a lot of gravel and stuff that washes onto the actual boardwalk itself. These stairs are pretty much mostly rotted through, and there's just nothing, there's no water bars or anything to prevent the flow of water coming off Esker Trail. So if it's okay, if the commission is comfortable, I'd like to move forward with finding a scout that is confident they can get this done, that has the resources. They'll have to do their own funding and sourcing of material before they start the work. And I will be handing them off a copy of the AMC Trail Building and Maintenance Guide, which is just kind of a great resource, and it has all the best management practices for trail design and water bars, addressing erosion and creating stairs similar to those photos. But it's a big enough project. And again, if we inherit something, I just want to make sure the commission preliminarily is okay with this project for a scout project.
Sounds great to me. Anybody else? Peter's in. Then.
Okay, I will forward it then.
So we just have to do the, so do we don't have to, we're just saying, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Find a scout, go for it.
Yeah, and there's going to be some discretion in choosing a scout that we feel is confident with it, that hopefully has some kind of experience, or making sure, I mean, at some point when they do come back to staff with a plan, we won't even bring it to you guys until we're confident that they've done their due diligence. So.
Good. Okay, so we just have to go through these order of conditions. Peter, did you read them all?
I think
No,
we had meeting minutes too.
no,
Who
because
read?
I actually wasn't here at the meeting when most of those were.
Oh, no. Who read them? Bill, did you read them? Somebody must have read them.
What? I read them, but it was so long ago that I remember the topic, but it was hard to remember exactly what happened.
I read them.
Okay, so meeting minutes, are we good for meeting minutes? Can we have a motion?
I will say, Sue did just have 2 clerical corrections on the June 11th.
Great.
Those have been correct.
Okay. So can we have a motion? So is it just the specific meeting minutes?
It's June 11th and June 25th meeting minutes.
June 11th and June 25th? I wonder, Allison couldn't remember. June 11th and June 25th. Okay, so for June 11th, was Steve here? Is he on that list? Can he vote? Can he make a motion? He looks like he's ready. He's ready to make a motion.
Was I here at that meeting? Am I on the meeting notes?
June 11th, it looks like you were not there.
There you go.
All right.
Motion to approve June 11th minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Can we just say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, June 25th. All in favor? Do we have a second? Steve said yes. Bill
Second.
said second.
Oh, Bill
All in
said
favor?
second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, how many orders of conditions do we have to do? Can we each take one?
So
Deb,
Is she talking to us? Deb, if you're
don't know.
talking to us, we can't hear you.
I was going to say that I can pull any of them up on the screen if anyone wants, just like a.
Oh, don't be bothered. 56 Blacksmith Drive. We closed the hearing. They were within 25 foot of the no disturb zone. They are planting a buffer, and the O&M was going to be in there as a draft to make sure that they sign the O&M when they come back. Is that all in the meeting and in the order?
Yep, that's all there in the Exhibit A.
Anybody have any questions or concerns about 56 Blacksmith Drive? Can I have a motion to approve it?
Move that we approve 56 Blackwood Drive.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Allison, second. Okay, all in favor? Artie?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Peter?
I think I have to abstain.
Okay, Stephen?
Aye.
Sue?
I wasn't at the first meeting.
Okay, so Peter and Sue abstained. Aye. Okay, 56 Blacksmith, that one's done. Okay, what about 182 and 190 Edgewater Drive? DP finding the two people.
So I gotta add your condition as far as them coming back before the tennis court is installed.
Yep.
To give us their test pit data and their plan. So I need to add that condition.
Anything else that we needed needed added to that one? Artie, you were paying attention to that one. Anything else? Okay, can I have a motion to approve as amended?
I move that we approve 182 Edgewater Drive as amended.
Second,
Second,
Allison, thank you. All in favor, Artie,
Aye.
Allison,
aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Peter,
Abstain.
abstaining, Steve,
Aye.
Sue, you were here, right, Sue?
Yeah, well, the first meeting I wasn't, and actually, I think I voted on the closure of that. So I should abstain from both the closure and this vote too.
Okay, got that?
Yeah, I think for closures, you can vote either way, but I will mark it.
Okay. You had enough people. 54 Pheasant Landing. Oh, that was continued. 10 Winfield Street. We closed that. File number 234-852. This one,
So you wanted a new plan?
I want them to provide an as-built plan with the topography. There's when they request a certificate of compliance to show that they're not
Okay.
grading into the neighbor's yard.
Gotcha.
So it's it's a little bit more, it's kind of a pain to do a certificate an as-built with the topo, and they happily said they would do it, but they probably are going to provide you something that doesn't have topo, and that's not going to do us any good. So,
In addition to that, all I have, they do have a planting area as mitigation for the ground disturbance, but they're not cutting any trees. So with that, they proposed plantings, but it just seemed prudent that we didn't have a monitoring period with a survival rate, just because they don't have a set number of trees. It's more of a renaturalization area. So it's being seeded, and they're going to be planting plants as available, essentially.
okay, is that okay with everybody to not have a monitoring period? Okay, so we need to make a motion or approve the order of conditions for 10 Winfield Street, DEP file number 234-852 as amended, requesting the as-built plan.
So moved.
Second. Allison, thank you. All in favor, Artie,
Aye.
Allison,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Peter,
Abstain.
Stephen,
Aye.
Sue.
Abstain.
Okay, great. Oh, Janet, yes, aye. Okay, what about 74 and 80 Robinwood? We were all here for that. We closed it. That was hard. Okay, DP file number 234-854. Did we have any special things that we asked along the way? I kept wondering if we should ask them to do some plantings or something, but I couldn't come up with a reason why, so I didn't say it. So
In preparing for this one, I had just a couple notes from our stock conditions. Usually for subsurface infiltration units, we have them conduct a test pit. I was wondering if you wanted them to have, a test pit to make sure the line depth wouldn't be within groundwater, or if
no, because it's probably in groundwater and it's not going to matter because that's the whole idea.
Line infiltration anyway.
They'll infiltrate a little bit, but it's not really an infiltration pit. It's really a drainage pipe going out that maybe they'll infiltrate a little bit. Anything else on that one?
I have a condition that if they have to dewater, they have to come back to at least, they'll have to contact the conservation department with a dewatering plan.
Which is just you guys, right? They don't have to come back to us. Okay, that's fine.
And then I wasn't sure about the O&M. I had a discussion in the field with Brian Tim, their engineer, about an O&M plan. They had discussed the long-term maintenance with the homeowner, but they did not come up with a formal O&M for the application. Do we want them to have an O&M plan in hand for the certificate of compliance?
Yes, signed by the homeowner. Okay, anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay, So we can have a motion to issue the order of conditions for 74 and 80 Robinwood Ave. Almost done, guys. Peter, is that you?
So moved.
Bill?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Artie?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Steve? Steve, yeah? Where did you go? You were there a second ago. I think he's frozen. His screen must be frozen. Sue?
Aye.
Janet, aye. It's so funny that he's like slowly not moving.
Sitting still.
He's gone. That was that. Okay. That was it. We did that, right? We're done.
Yeah, last thing, I need to introduce our puppy we adopted last week. His name's Cosmo.
Cosmo, nice.
Cosmo. He's sleeping. He's sleeping, but he wanted to meet everyone.
Cosmo.
Nice.
Yeah. And he was eating his blanket the entire meeting. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
I didn't hear a second. I didn't. hear-
Second.
All in
Hi,
favor?
Barry.
Aye, aye, aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a nice Thanksgiving, everybody.
You
This
too,
was a long
everybody.
meeting.
Yeah, you
You
too.
too.
Stay healthy.
Steve's unfrozen.
Good day.
Bye.
Bye.